The Cathar Creed, Love 176. Hello again. Hello yet again. The Cathar Creed, it was channeled in 1974 by the head Cathar Bishop, that's a Gilbert de Castro, and it was channeled to Colin Bloy at Montsegur, which I suppose would have to be the spiritual home of the Cathars then and now. And Colin said that it arrived, he just wrote it all down, 15-20 minutes, and there it was. And thankful to him we are for that. It's often been called the Cathar Prophecy. I don't know why, because it doesn't prophesy anything. It's just a series of affirmation, Cathar affirmations, or their philosophy, how they go about their life. As well, I've included some actual Cathar affirmations that they used to make in medieval times. And all this gives a very important insight into the way that the Cathars thought about life and their beliefs and their philosophy, and how they went about things. There's no commandments, thou shalt not do this and shalt not do that. It's nothing of that at all. Are they prayers? And they're not prayers, they're affirmations. Prayer, I once said to my friend Jim Callahan, who was in medieval times was Guillaume de Mirepoix, and I called praying transcendental begging. I was just having a conversation about it, and that's where people give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. Now, of course, if you're praying for somebody else and for the assistance for somebody else, that's certainly not begging. That's a totally different thing altogether. But anyway, his guide Henri de Bourges was talking to him once, and he said that I was Matthias at that time, and he said Matthias is partly right regarding this transcendental begging. However, it is better to pray than not to pray. So there you are. That's from Henri de Bourges. And the Greeks regards praying, their favourite saint is Saint Anthony. And if they've lost something, or they want something to happen, or they need something, it's Saint Anthony, Saint Anthony, Saint Anthony. So the story goes that once there was this guy out fishing, and he was fishing on his own, and a large wave came and overturned his craft, his boat. And he was in the water. He wasn't a very good swimmer. And he called out, Saint Anthony, help me, help me, help me. Saint Anthony, help me, save me, save me. And Saint Anthony boomed out to him and said, yes, yes, yes. He said, I'll save you. He said, I'll save you. He said, but would you mind moving your arms a little? So the thing is, there's an old saying, God helps those who help themselves. So that's my policy. I think if something happens, get stuck into it yourself and see what comes of it. And then, yes, it'd be nice to have a bit of a divine assistance at the same time. But I think the best thing is to do what you can about it, rather than rely on divine assistance, because it may not come. I think, of course, it may. So regarding the Cathar affirmations, I'm not going to make any comment on them. I'm just going to read them, and I think they're all self-explanatory. But I think, looking at the whole thing, that the Cathar Perfecto, a lot of them think they were, because of their fasting and different things that they did, they were very solemn, and they used to get around in black, of course, and very solemn, very holy people. Well, they were, but they had good times. They used to sing and dance at harvest time, and they drink wine with the rest. They'd put water in there so they didn't get drunk. and they had a good time. They were not a miserable lot, and they were out to try and bring happiness, joy into the world. It was a pretty miserable place in those days, with wars and famine, and there was a mini ice age as well around that time, I believe. So things were pretty terrible, but they tried to help and assist people and bring a bit of joy into their lives. So and ultimately, it's all about love and about learning to love yourself, and ultimately through learning to love yourself, learning to love more of God, or Cathar's term the source, and ultimately that's what it's all about. And when it's all boiled down, ultimately that's our journey, our path, learning towards how we love the source as a creator. The affirmations. There's only a number of them. It is my intention never to be a hindrance to any living being. Rather, I will be an object of joy to others and assistance to them on their spiritual path. There's only 4 of them that I have. It is my intention to bear fruit from any evil done to me, and that any virtue I may have bear fruit for others. It is my intention to always help to dispel the misery of the universe. The final one. I have compassion for all souls and all living things. So they're Cathar affirmations, and in that last one, all living things. That's obviously domestic and wild, and so I tend to think that the Cathars were certainly I don't know whether they were the first environmentalists, but they were certainly they loved the planet, and they were certainly into the environment and saving it. The Cathar Creed, as I've said, it's sometimes referred to as the Cathar Prophecy, or the Cathar Manifesto. Manifesto is the same thing. It's as a creed, or in Latin, the credo. It's simply a creed is simply one's belief, one's creed. The Cathar Creed, outlining and affirming the aims and ideals of the desire to follow the present-day Cathar path, a path for a different age. The Cathar Creed. It has no fabric, only understanding. It has no membership, save those who know they belong. It has no rivals, because it is non-competitive. It has no ambition, because it only seeks to serve. It knows of no boundaries, for nationalisms are unloving. It is not of itself, because it seeks to enrich all groups and religions. It acknowledges all great teachers of all the ages who have shown the truth of love. Those who participate practice the truth of love in all their daily being. There is no walk or life or nationality that is a barrier. Those who are, know. It seeks not to teach, but to be, and by being, enrich. It recognizes the collectivity of all humanity, and that we are all one with the One. It recognizes that the way we are may be the way of those around us, because we are that way. It recognizes the whole planet as a being, of which we are a part. It recognizes that the time has come for the supreme transmutation, the ultimate alchemical act, the conscious change of the ego into a voluntary return to the whole. Each one will dedicate his or her life to the silent loving of their neighbour and environment and the planet, whilst carrying out their daily task, however exalted or humble. It admits of no hierarchy or structure, for no one is greater than another. Its members shall know each other by their deeds and being and their eyes, and by no other outward sign, save the fraternal embrace. It does not proclaim itself with a loud voice, but in the subtle realms of loving. It salutes all those in the past who have blazoned the path but paid the price. It recognises the supremacy of the great idea, which may only be accomplished if the human race practices the supremacy of love. It has no rewards to offer, either here or in the hereafter, save that of the ineffable joy of being and loving. Its members shall seek only to advance the cause of understanding within whichever church, group or family they happen to be. They shall do good by stealth and teach only by example. They shall heal their neighbour, their community and our planet. They shall know no fear and feel no shame, and their witness shall prevail over all odds. It has no secrets, no arcanum, no initiations, save that of the true understanding of the power of love. And that, if we want it to be so, the world will change, but only if we change ourselves first. All those who belong, belong. Many churches, groups and sects are impositions by the few on the many, preying on weakness. The Cathar community of love is the reverse. It liberates and promotes individual strength. Such vestigial structure as it eventually may have must come from those who know they are a part of it. This is the Cathar community of love. I don't think it needs any explaining from me. It's put down simply and honestly. I would like to point out that there's no 10 commandments or 20 commandments or anything like that. Rather than try and contain you or contain a person, as it says, it's trying to liberate a person and strengthen that person. Expand the mind, expand one's horizons, expands one's beliefs, bring some joy and happiness into the world whenever we can. The world can be a miserable place at times, shocking even, but we don't have to add to it. Surely we can bring a little bit of joy and happiness into the world, but our first responsibility is to do that for ourselves. Thank you for listening. Talk again. Bye for now.